So if I say this, that as Hindus, as human beings, we like sophistication, we like deep thought. Everyone agrees with that, right? All right. And that out of the way, I mean, we need sophistication in a variety of fields, whether it is philosophy or myths or astronomy or Ayurveda or even history. We need wisdom, and for that we need texts, right? There's no dispute about this, right? We need texts to acknowledge of our masters, to produce new knowledge, and so on. And what we need is we need local reliable access. So if there's a scholar somewhere, let's say in some village in Orissa, without too much trouble, he should be able to access texts he needs. For example, there was a naked eye astronomer in Orissa. I think his name was Samanta or something. And he had some Sanskrit education, but he made some very accurate, remarkable observations of the night sky. So there, wherever you are, wherever he should be able to access texts. He should study them, propagate them, and so on. And I should emphasize that we need reliable local access of text. There is a great story about Ramanuja having to travel from Kanchi all the way to Kashmir in order to access Bodhayana's Vritti for Brahma Sutra, and which was only lent in the end for just a day. So I had to memorize it. Should not be difficult, and it should be easy to reproduce. Suppose some copy of a text, it should not be like, oh, will he ever give it back to me? Should I give it or not? There shouldn't be no such trouble. It should be easily reproducible. So that's one thing. And another thing is that it should be completeness. And uh, by completeness, I mean every text one could possibly need should be accessible. Uh, um, Important text should be more widely available, more easily available, but generally any text. There's so many texts which have been lost in the time. We will not let it anymore if we can. And another point is that it should be robust to cloud. Technologies change. You may have some floppy disk, you can't read it anymore. You may have some Indus Valley seal, which we can't understand anymore. And we should not be in such a situation. This is the general place I'm coming from. So what I would, if I had enough resources and help, what I would actually want to do is this. So you saw that we need text, we need to preserve text. And how do we do it? How do we do it? That's a fundamental question. I will try to answer this in a few steps. First, paper or leaf books are not sufficient, right? That's very easy to understand. Paper books last 100, 200 years, even acid-free paper lives 500 years. Parchment skin, 2000 years, preserved well. And then there are many, many lost. Just 30 years ago, there was a great genius of our tradition called Nila Bhikacharya. Many of his publications are not available anymore, even though they were published. Some of the manuscripts he claims to have written in his forewords, they're not available. So this is not reliable, because not only because of the degradation due to the environment, which has been explained here, but also because of other factors. For example, these famous examples, Alexandria, Constantinople, Nalanda, Vikramashila, those libraries burned for weeks and months, from what we hear. Lots of knowledge was lost. And People are just greedy about anything they can get. Metals, insects eat them up, rats. And then there is the monopoly problem. You go to a manuscript library, they pay you them there. People sometimes have to hoodwink them or bribe them to get access. Those problems are there as well. And then there were other problems. For example, the people who are descendants of scholars often don't realize the value of scholarship. They, for example, when someone dies, They take away all their idols and pictures of deities, throw it in front of some Ashwatha tree, and then they take all their manuscripts, throw it into the Ganga because they can't maintain them. There is for example, there's a famous story about a scholar from Karnataka who used to live in Varanasi. He used to wait with a hired diver just for people to throw their manuscripts into the river. And then he used to ask the diver to collect them and give it to them. So by this way, several books he was able to retrieve. So this is a problem with physical books, paper, parchment leaves, and so on. And then there is the memorization technique, which works, but it is not sufficient. As you know, a lot of Veda Shakhas have been lost. Lot of oral tradition has been lost. What was once oral tradition? We only hear that this existed, and it was referred to by others. It was useful. We hear this Shruti existed, but no one knows where it is. So this is not reliable. Of course, it is still important, very, very important for actual deployment of this knowledge. You need to not have to read a book all read from a book, making a incision or something. So this is not sufficient for preservation of text. Another thing is digital storage. We think that digital storage is, we are currently under the illusion that everyone in the future will on Earth or Mars, and they will have everything we are trying to preserve right now. But as a matter of fact, that's not true. There are various studies on it. Here I have just put a simple statistic. 38% of the web pages from 2013 are not accessible anymore in 2000. So that's the rate of loss. You know how many pages you go to archive.org, book on the other day, few days later it's gone. Someone made a complaint or something, it's gone. One can, and scanning books afresh is a big thing, and so that's there. And but this is not what I'm mainly bothered about. What I will come to the real problem here. Our assumption that we will have access to all this technology, we will have computers in the future. It is not. It is not true. You know, all computers require energy. AI requires a lot of energy. Bitcoin mining more than Bitcoin. The energy required for Bitcoin mining is like 7% of what by AI right now. So that's the scale of energy required for AI. And even to run computers, you need energy. You need power to run data centers, which is why they try to spin it so that they use green energy. They locate it near volcanoes so that they can use geothermal energy and so on, so on. All those this won't last because energy is finite. You have a motorbike, you have a petrol tank, and once the petrol tank gets over, you will have to push the motorbike with your hand and feet. There's no other choice, and that won't suffice. And you need metals, you need copper, you need lithium to make these chips. You need those materials, and those things are also finite. What you have, they will what material you have extracted, it will corrode over time. It will degenerate and it will turn to dust. And further, there are other problems such as a large-scale ecocide, of ecology. Think that you will live in a nice human garden with no forest, no animals, and that also cannot be a stable equilibrium. It will lead to catastrophe, which has been depicted in popular media. For example, there is this Mad Max, I think. That's a good illustration of what will come. And there are so many dead civilizations in our past. We have heard of Sumer. They are the pioneers in astronomy. Where are they? Nowhere. Where is Indus Valley civilization? You can say we are Indus Valley civilization, but the core thing, it's all gone. Where is Egypt? Gone. And Rome and the Aztecs, the Incas. So the illusion that what we have will last is not true. So this is one thing. Why did I mention this? Because digital storage requires industrial civilization. You have a planet of farmers and expect to run computers, supercomputers, data access, etc. It may be possible in a very small scale for some time, but ultimately it won't last. And how far away is it? They say that the amount of petroleum products which took millions of years to produce by the decomposing animals and plants, half of it we have exhausted, and another half, to the extent we can exploit, we will exploit in 150 or 200 years, and after that all bets are off. You will have to scrounge for uranium or whatever, and even that is finite. You need energy to refine it. You can't make solar panels which will last forever. You need to keep replacing everything every 25 years or something. So within a matter of few hundred years, I would say 150 200 years, this industrial civilization will end. And what will we do after that? What will we have to show for our great grandchildren, who will ask, what texts, what knowledge have you preserved for us? We can't say, oh, we have lost everything because the internet went away, because we knew that it will go away. So that's one thing. So there are scholarly references for this. For example, there is this classic textbook, uh, Energy and Human Ambitions on a Finite Planet by Thomas Murphy, who was a professor in UC Davis. Lots of studies. You can check the calculations by yourself. I'm not making any of it up, and people are aware of it. Some of them are it. And furthermore, I should say that I'm not the only person who is thinking about this. For example, there are other efforts. For example, there is something called Mankind, uh, which is uh, uh, which is located in some of the Alps in Switzerland, where they try to preserve all the books for use millennia later in the form of ceramic tablets, which I'll come. There are other attempts. For example, there is something called the Long Now Foundation in USA, and they make this kind. They made these kind of discs because they are aware that lots of languages are lost over time. So they preserve all these languages on these discs so that people in the future can understand what text they are able to retain. And there are other famous things like GitHub's Arctic Code Library. So this is somewhere in the Arctic Circle. Uh, it's near the North Pole. I think you heard of the Svalbard seed bank. It is located near that or in the same site. So there are other efforts. Other people are aware of it. Some people are planning for it. Only people in India, which I have heard of, is also listed here. There was a Madhva effort. There was something called Tara Prakashana. I think I forget the professor's name, but he
Professor
tried to make
Mukunda.
yeah, he made this silicon wafers, and he uh, saved the Madhva Mula Granthas uh, into those wafers so that they can just magnifying glass. Um, that's the only people I know, and not really good, not as good as the nickel discs. It will last only 500 years or something. Um, so back to this, what is reliable media? We have tablets from Babylonian civilization, which is like 5,000 6,000 years ago, and we have detailed letters about a person complaining to his mother because she is not buying him good clothes. Uh, some complaint about not receiving proper copper ingots, and so on. We have a lot of those. So they last millennia under the right condition, not if you throw them in a river or something. And then you can use metal discs, such as the Long No Foundation has done. And you can use ceramic tiles, like what the Memory of Mankind people have done. So those last a long time. So to wind up what I was saying, if we had resources, if I had help, someone in America who can contact Long Now Foundation, who can get the technology they used to India, then if I can convince some people, please, this is worth it. What I would do is I would make lots of copies of important books, and I would store them in an archive network, not only in India, but also throughout the world, in places associated with strong scholarly tradition and religious significance. So that will ensure that the ecosystem required to continually preserve down the line is available. So if I was able to have the technology, let's say from America, or the ceramic technology, for example, if someone knows some interested person in Kajaria or something, some tile manufacturer who can make such tiles just as what they did in Switzerland, I would like to do this. This is basically what I would I was set out to suggest. So if you know someone who can help, or if you someone else is excited by it, please communicate this to them, and please help us. Thank you.
Vishwas, this is extremely impressive. You're thinking 2 steps ahead. Uh, Maybe just a couple of questions in terms of further evaluation of this idea, right? Is the density going to be a question mark, or is that where you need the technology to say a massive book going on a nickel plate or on a ceramic tile? You will need the technology that would embed that amount of data into a smaller chunk of metal or a smaller chunk of tile.
Somehow I was able to understand properly. Could you please repeat a little slowly?
Sure. Is this better?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I was just trying to ask the technology that you're saying we might have to get from different sources. Is that more to embed the amount of data in a book on a single nickel plate or on a single tile in terms of compacting the density? Or is it more to do with the ability of somebody in India who can already do it, and we'll have to partner with them?
So there are the twofold answer. If we use the nickel disk technology, I don't think there is anyone in India who can do it, who has done it. The only people who have sent, for example, the famous Voyager record into space are the Americans. The only people who have made these nickel records are the Americans. So we have to get the technology from there. And I think my guess is that since they are a non-profit, they will happily share it. But someone locally has to do it, because I've been emailing them, trying to find email IDs, no response. Someone has to catch hold of someone and get it from them. And regarding the ceramic technology, that we make ceramic tiles in India. They make a lot of them in Rajasthan, I hear. There is a company called Kajaria. My belief is that that technology exists here, but you need contact with someone in the ceramic industry who can make the ceramic tiles, minor R&D. And beyond that, I people in an IIT or some such place where interested engineers are there. If we can make a robot which can engrave text on stone walls or ceramic tiles which have already been established, that will also be a great boon. We can save text that way as well. So that's a possibility. No matter what, irrespective of the density of the data we want to store, we need automation, because right now we can't. It's impossible to have enough human resources or even to write those things manually. So you need machines for that. You need technology, and therefore we need help of these people. Other than that, density is also an important factor, because if you can make the text microscopic, the letters microscopic in length, if you can ensure that we produce like billions of magnets and store them when we have the energy to do so, we can rest happily that future generation can read it. these compressed text using just a magnifying glass. They can reproduce it. Maybe we can also ensure that we can make engravings in such a way that they can be printed on paper, like impression printing, so that future reproduction will also be easier. So that requires R&D. Yes.